Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to our Tech Talk. My name's Dr. Jacob Burdis, and I'm joined here with Nick McCleery. He's our product manager over the Thresholds feature. And today we're going to talk a little bit about thresholds and the feature within our assessment engine that allows customers to better draw the line to make sure they're hiring the best quality talent in terms of language ability. A little bit about my background. So I'm one of the co-founders. And I got my start working for Brigham Young University in intensive language programs, getting my PhD focusing on improving assessment and making it automated, specifically for speaking. Nick has been delivering enterprise-grade software for more than a decade. He has a passion for solving the complex problems that arise as companies scale to meet their customers' needs. With a diverse background in technology, he is currently helping Emmersion use machine learning and artificial intelligence to democratize language assessment. He is driven to help people around the world achieve greater economic freedom, all while raising a family of outdoor enthusiasts. We're really happy to be here. To set the stage for what we're going to talk about today, our purpose at Emmersion is to provide the highest quality data to our clients so that they can make better decisions as they're working on the hiring process, trying to bring in the best talent. We focus on language assessments and language screeners that can provide data about candidates' speaking ability, writing ability, grammar ability, and other abilities that really affect international companies and candidates who need to make sure that their employees can function at a certain level of language. And we, just for as a reminder, we work in multiple languages. Most of our clients use us for English, but we have a lot of languages out and ready and multiple in development. And so we're really working with a global audience. And in this process of delivering data to our clients so that they can make better decisions, we've realized that one of the hardest things for our clients to do, especially those who aren't language experts themselves, it's to turn the data that we provide, usually which comes in the form of a scoring scale. Oftentimes we use our internal True North scale, which is a 0 to 100 scale that represents language ability. We also use other scales such as CEFR, the Common European Framework of Reference, which illustrates language ability as well, that many of our clients are familiar with. But taking these scales and mapping them and representing them on how they actually predict performance for their candidates is difficult to do. We've realized a lot of our clients need a little bit of help and assistance to know a certain score on either of these scales can actually translate into success for the candidate that they're bringing in. And to this point, we've recently added the thresholds feature. And the purpose of the thresholds feature is to allow clients to set certain benchmarks that they can use in the candidate screening process to assist their organization in making decisions of whether or not to hire or move along candidates in the applicant screening process. We have a lot of clients who sometimes make one decision of what might be considered a cut point. So if a candidate is at least this proficient in the language, and whether that's for speaking or writing or grammar ability or all of them combined, they make a decision on whether they're good enough, at least in terms of language, to move on in the process. But we have lots of other clients who have a little bit more of a complicated process in their candidate screening, where they do need to know candidates have at least a minimum ability, but sometimes there are multiple different tiers. So a candidate might be good enough for kind of a rank and file position, though there may be more positions that require higher level ability. And so they might need to set up multiple thresholds or multiple points at which they can make determinations about candidates' ability in the language. And so the thresholds feature is meant to be a tool to translate the data coming in so that our clients can make better decisions as they're trying to automate and really reduce the amount of time and effort it takes to determine if a candidate is the right candidate to hire. So today we're going to talk a little bit more about how we developed the thresholds feature, what the thresholds feature can do for our clients. We'll show what it looks like in the product, And then afterward, I'll speak a little bit to where we're going with the thresholds feature. And so I'm going to turn the time over to Nick, who's going to tell us a little bit more about the feature and its development, and then show us what it looks like in the product. Go ahead, Nick.
Perfect. Thanks, Jacob. I'm actually really excited to show you how Thresholds works inside of our product. But before I dive into the product, I want to talk about some of the things that went into the creation of the Thresholds feature. One of those things in particular that you heard Jacob talking about is just simply the name Thresholds. As we've had these conversations with customers and we were investigating the feature, a lot of times we heard the term benchmark used. And that's a great term for what we're doing. However, think about language proficiency and how that's actually a scale where people have different levels of language proficiency based on how long they've been speaking the language, how long they've been studying that language. And using the term thresholds actually helps emphasize that a little bit better, where the benchmark, it's kind of binary. We're saying either you're good enough or you're not. However, with language proficiency, you can learn and then you can move to a higher level threshold as you continue your education, as you continue studying that language and practicing that language. And thresholds, just simply using that term, helps us to emphasize that with our customers. I was on a phone call with one of our customers recently who hired us to do language screening for a call center. And when they're hiring thousands of people each year for different roles, those people who are being interviewed, they're not being assessed on one particular baseline, but rather based on what their position is going to be inside of that organization, they have to reach different levels of language proficiency. The example that they had given me was some of their frontline call center agents who are screening calls as they come in had to have a very situational understanding of the language so that they could understand what the needs of the person who is calling had. However, on the technical side, as those calls were advanced through the call center, the individuals who are going to be helping them solve a technical problem, they had to have a much more technical understanding of the language. And so those can't be measured with the exact same numerical value. They were different thresholds of the language proficiency that these individuals need to have. And then on top of that, this customer specifically was hiring thousands of people every year. And so when you're hiring at that type of a volume, you know that there's more than one person that's involved in the recruiting process. There's more than one person that's involved in the interviewing process. And so you have to be able to create a level playing field, essentially give everybody an equal measuring stick so that it takes a little bit of the opinions out of those hiring decisions and makes it a lot more objective. And so I'm going to show you how that translates into our product with our thresholds feature. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And as I get going, let me just explain to you what you're seeing right now. This is inside the administrative dashboard for customers who purchased Emmersion. And you're looking at the assessment results specifically for the English speaking, our True North English speaking assessment. Now, for this table, you're going to see a row for every individual who has been assessed. So of course we see their name, but we can see the score that they got. This is the True North scoring system here that you're seeing. And you can see its equivalent in CBERT. That's the Common European Framework of Reference. And then next to it, you'll see this column here that's currently blank. This is where we can insert the information about the threshold. Now, this information is great. This is going to be kind of your first just snapshot of who has been assessed, what are their scores, what does that look like? But as more people are interacting with this data, we want to make sure that, again, we're applying that equal measuring stick to each of these people who've taken an assessment. So what I can do, I can go into the settings for this particular assessment, and we're talking about our English speaking assessment, and we can add a threshold. It's very simple. Actually, you just click add the threshold button. We drop in a few defaults here so that you can get started. But let's just say for this example that we're talking about today that this particular customer, based on the needs that they have inside of their company, anybody who scores lower than maybe a 7.5 on the True North language scale, maybe they're not a good fit for our company. They just haven't quite got to that level that we need for employment. So we could call this threshold do not hire. However, those people who scored between a 7.6 and maybe an 8.5, they're kind of in a window here where they have a pretty good grasp of the language that would be acceptable to us, but maybe not quite to the level that we would really like them to see to be productive inside of our organization. So these people are still a valuable hire because they're just right about there, but we would like to maybe invest a little bit more in these people, help them to learn the language and help them get to a threshold that's going to work and help them be more effective. And so maybe we could call this threshold additional training. And then we could just say for the remainder of this range, from the 8.6 to the 10 range, that those people have met a threshold that we would consider them for the job just based on that language proficiency. So we could just call this threshold higher. And so now we've set these up so that individuals who score inside these different ranges, we're going to be able to apply this label so that we can understand where they've landed. I can go ahead and save this. And I'll go back to my dashboard. And now that I've added those thresholds, you can see actually just at a glance how the individuals who have been assessed are falling within those thresholds. So we can see a group of individuals here who have met that level of language proficiency that we would consider them for employment. And there's a few others here that we want to make that additional investment in, help them understand and help them communicate better in that language and employ these people. And then maybe there's a few others that haven't quite met that level for us yet that, you know, we can give them some resources, they can come back and apply in the future, but for right now, they're probably not a good fit for our organization. Now, these things, while it seems like a pretty easy way to apply a label, I want to point out just how important it is for the outcomes that you're creating. One of the most important things for me is that it takes a lot of that subjective and opinion out of the hiring process. When people are being interviewed in stages, and especially when different people are being interviewed by different individuals, those opinions come into, they really come into play as to whether or not we believe this person has the correct level of language proficiency, and this takes that guesswork out. It allows us so that each one of those individuals who is involved in the hiring process are measuring the candidates on a level playing field. And this is really important for the people who are being hired, because what it's going to do is help get people into the right position. One of the customers that I met with told me that as people come in to interview for a certain position and then their language skills are assessed, they often find that they're a better fit for a different role inside that same organization. That's actually really helpful, because hiring people into the wrong role means that they may not have the job satisfaction that they really were looking for, and so they may not perform as well as you'd hoped. So if you can understand a little bit more objectively where to place these individuals, especially in organizations that hire a lot of people throughout the year, you don't want to waste that time that you're spending in interviewing. It's very expensive. And so you want to make sure that you're retaining as many people as you can and getting them into the right positions so that they can have great job satisfaction and reduce those turnover rates inside your organization. And for me, it just makes the entire process much more equitable. And both the interviewers and the candidates that you're hiring are going to be happier in those roles. And with that, I'll turn the time back over to you, Jacob.
Perfect. Thank you, Nick. I wanted to give you a little bit of a window into where we're going with this feature. We're really excited, and our clients have found a lot of value, as Nick has already pointed out, in terms of keeping the hiring process equitable, but also facilitating making turning data into decisions easier and more consistent across the organization, especially where there are multiple people who are involved in the process. Just to step back a little bit, one of our biggest differentiators in the market is the fact that we have a very strong ability to use adaptive algorithms and AI and machine learning processes in order to predict language performance in speaking, in grammar, in writing, in all of the areas that really predict overall performance for these candidates that are coming into your organization. What we've realized is that while the predictive algorithms are helpful and essential in us being able to provide scores on an individual level that will help our clients make decisions, we can apply the same thinking to the kind of macro level organization at large. And that's what we're working on doing with the thresholds feature in future releases. We have clients who are sharing with us data about turnover, about those who they ultimately hire, about longevity of their employees, and performance scores. And being able to connect those performance scores to the language scores in their screening process, we're able to begin building predictive algorithms specifically for the company that illustrate which thresholds drive better performance in these other business outcomes that our clients care most about. So we're using the same type of technology that we're using that really drive the differentiation of our assessments and applying it at large so that we can improve customization and ultimately drive to better business outcomes for our clients. We're really excited about where we're going with this. And we know that our partnerships with our clients, as we continue to develop and improve these features, is really going to help them drive toward their ultimate outcomes that they care most about. It will improve equitability. It will reduce bias in the hiring process, which we know our clients care a lot about, making sure that everyone has a fair chance. It will improve customization that allows for better screening tools to ensure that the people getting through the process are the right people and will perform at a level that our clients need. And oftentimes that translates directly to higher customer satisfaction scores. So those who are performing better at their company means all of our company's clients are happier with the performance of the people coming in. And also it will improve the overall turnover of the applicants so that applicants coming in who can perform are happier and they will stay longer in the job, which ultimately will reduce the cost of frequent turnover within companies as they come and work with us. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our Tech Talk. We're very excited for what we do here at Emmersion. Ultimately, we're on a mission to close the global communication gap. And we believe that a lot of our tools that we're building will help our organizations save time, save money, and be more fair in the hiring process. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. You're also welcome to come visit us at our digital booth in the expo hall. So thank you so much for your time.